On the Wake Up Radio presents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Greetings, Black family, and welcome to On the Wake Up Radio. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio at On the Wake Up Radio. Also, of course, you can check us out at onthewakeupradio.com as well as otwtube.com. That's otwtube.com. Greetings to our wonderful producer, Cindy Ashby, who will put in the links for otwtube.com for myself and herself. That is her platform that she has put together for us to be able to speak freely about things like we talked about yesterday. Greetings to Philly E-Babe, BB4 to you. Good to see you yesterday. Peace and Black Power, Straight Black Pride to Brother Patrick. BB4 to You Got Ripped Off. BB4 to Sister Fonessa. And I think that is everyone that I see in the chat thus far. So I make the assumption that more people will come in shortly. As y'all saw, if y'all were here when it came on, had a new countdown. Want to experiment with that. I just found that. So I think I'm going to make my own countdown eventually with the type of music that I actually like, as opposed to random music that's just on the internet. So today, in a few minutes, BB4 and Straight Black Pride, Brother Kevin, we will talk about the event yesterday. And BB4 to Sister Shaniqua, got to meet her yesterday, by the way. Very nice sister. Been following each other on Instagram for a while. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else that I got to meet yesterday? No one I see thus far. But anyway, you got ripped off. You got ripped off criticizing my music. That's why I like You Got Ripped Off. He always comes with positive or negative critiques, whatever is needed. Oh, first thing I want to mention real quick, and let me make sure I actually have the correct date before I mention this, so I'm not wrong. But yeah, on Father's Day, which is June 20th, we will be having our Straight Black Love Day cookout. We did not, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it gets hard to remember things, especially 2020 with everything that was going on. We did not have the Straight Black Love Day cookout because we didn't have access to the venues. They weren't allowing people to reserve parking areas in where we normally have it. So we're back to our normal venue space. If you've been for the Straight Black Love Day cookout, it's usually held outside of the city in PG County. And this year, like I said, on Father's Day, and I will have the flyer this week. I had a flyer this week. So I'll put that out on Instagram, and it'll go out in the Greetings to Unique One Express. It'll go out on the for those who are on the email list. It'll go out to you all. But yeah, we're back to our regularly scheduled programming with that. So it's free, so you can come get free food. You can bring your children. We have, depending on the year, we have stuff for the children. We usually have games and board games and things like that. I think one year a brother came from out of town and brought like one of those, what they call it, moon bounce things or whatever the case may be. Yeah, brother came and brought that. So I don't think we're gonna do it up that big this year unless another brother or that brother comes back. Um, Unique want to express say, I mean, no, who that? Sister Unique will say, if you're not looking for love at the moment, can you still come? Yes, you can still come. Greetings to brother Elijah. Um, so yeah, so that and the Straight Black Love Day cookout is that's a family event. So it's it's for brothers, sisters, children, couples, non-couples, sisters with children, brothers without children, sisters without children, whatever. It's a family. Think of it like a family reunion. Just think of it like straight black pride family reunion. That's what it's really like. And it's so that's what we're gonna do. It's probably gonna be. It's basically an all-day event. We'll probably start about 1 to about. It's probably like 1 to 8. I think right around 8. We just most of the time just don't have any more energy and everybody's ready to go. So that is again that will be on June 20th. That is a free event, Straight Black Love Day Cookout. And like I said, it's a family event for those who have never gone that are in the area. So if you're in the area, you're on the East Coast. The only thing is it will be on a Sunday. So if you're not from in town, you might want to take the day off. I tend to take some time around that time just to relax. So that is that. And so, first of all, first question is how many people here either came or watched the live stream of yesterday's lecture? And you can put a 1 in the chat, and I will wait to see how many people that is. Got a little bit fewer numbers than we have been having recently, but people always have a habit of showing up just a little tardy because you know how African people aren't really bound by time, so people express that by showing up at their leisure regardless of what you are doing, and I'm used to that now. But one thing about Straight Black Pride, especially Brother Genie, he is definitely a believer in valuing people's time, so he likes to start on time and be on task. I'm a little more loose with time sometimes, but it is what it is. Okay, all right. I see Sister Vanessa. Okay, Sister Vanessa, you got the live stream. I'm gonna ask you, and I know Brother Elijah and Sister Shaniqua, Philly E Baby. I know y'all were there, so I saw y'all. So I'm gonna ask Sister Vanessa, how was the live stream? Because okay, oh, you got ripped off. You didn't get to watch it. Okay. Oh, greetings to Black Kingdom Pharaoh. I didn't see you come in. So those that watched the live stream, because I was there, so I didn't get to see it. How was the live stream as far as? So that was the first time the brother using his own platform and streaming. So how was your experience with that? I just want to know. And also for those that if there were any technical issues for those that watched the live stream, because he mentioned it might have been a possibility of that. Check your emails by tomorrow. He'll have some information about that. So he's gonna do something special for those who watch the live stream, since you were the first people to watch it on his platform, and that's something he's been working on. Seems like for a good year that he's been working on that, and finally able to make it come to fruition. And anyone that has ever had to build your own platform, Sis Vanessa says there were a few technical difficulties, but it's an overall great experience. Okay, that's good. That's excellent. And brother, you got ripped off says that he didn't have a chance to catch it all. Plan to watch it later in the week. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And For those who were there in person, I didn't hear any complaints in person, and you didn't leave without greeting me. So I'm gonna make the assumption that everything went well. But for those, since most of the people watched it, just in general, what were your thoughts on the information that was presented? Straight Black Pride to, I believe it's Brother Asar, Straight Black Pride, brother. For those that watched it, what were your thoughts about the information presented overall? Because I have my own thoughts. I didn't know what Brother Genie was going to put out. I didn't know he was going to use the Lil Nas X clip of him with the children, which is, I guess he found that probably even more disturbing than I did, because when I saw it, we talked about it on another show. We showed it on another show. If you watch that show, you know the clip I'm talking about. When I saw how popular he was with little children, I was, ooh. So Brother Jenny saw that clip and then broke it down even further and went into the lyrics and the hidden meaning behind the lyrics, which is even worse than what I thought. It's kind of hard to do, find stuff that's even worse than I thought. But Brother Jenny found that. Also, there was the clip. Sister Vanessa says, very well thought out and presented. I like the chronology of the layout of his presentation. Okay, that's good. Another highlight was actually, this is something it's funny if you've been around Genie a long time. If you follow his work for a long time, you'll get it. If not, you won't get it. But the opening clip of Pontiac and Amherst, I guess it was General Amherst. What's so funny is he's used that clip in multiple presentations for years, and yet it keeps having relevance and significance. And so it's almost like a running joke amongst us. It's like, oh, broke out that clip again, but it's always relevant. That's the thing, is he's been using it at least 10 years. Sister Shaniqua says everything was lovely, got a lot of information that was needed to help spread the awareness how people really need. All right, I'm glad you came. I'm glad you enjoyed it, sister. That's her first time coming out to a SBPM event. Brother, you got ripped off. Just let people know, we're regular people. We don't bite, and we don't have superpowers. See, Sister Vanessa says, after the presentation, if anyone that watched or attended still think that this is a conspiracy, then more power to them. We won't be able to save everyone. Yeah, And Sister Philly E-Babe says, I like that IG named names and included the positive affirmation at the end. I didn't write it down, so I can't repeat it accurately. If anyone knows it by heart, please share it with me. Okay, I'm glad you said that. I'm going to go, because I put that. I shot, if anyone follows me, if you follow me on Instagram, and my Instagram should be running along the bottom shortly. And You Got Ripped Off says, if anything, they're more normal than most people. Thank you, brother. I think that's a compliment. You can follow me on Instagram, by the way, at dc.radical1. And if you follow me there, you go to my story page, and there are short video clips and pictures from the event on my story page. And they should be up for the rest of the day, because I think I didn't post them until I got home last night. And to be honest, this will be a short stream because I'm still tired from last night. I didn't get in after we finished clean up and talking talking business and things like that. I think I got in like around midnight. I think, not even sure. That's how crazy it is. Not even sure, but I'm pretty much think it was around midnight. So you can go there and you can check out everything that's going on. And Sister Vanessa says, I didn't walk away from the presentation feeling hopeless. Jenny always leaves you feeling uplifted, and he always offers solutions and not just point out the problems. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I was talking to him earlier today, and I said I thought that was the most important part. So that the solutions part at the end was the most important part. And I'm looking, I'm laughing because I'm looking at our wonderful producer has posted my post about the show, and of course we have the standard line along the bottom of the post pointing you to the CDC for information on what we discussed yesterday. And I just always laugh about that. Like, you can't even breathe the word without them saying, hey, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Go here for information. That's just fantastic the way that social media does that. We have to give them credit for coming up with technology that censors you everywhere all the time, no matter what. If you say anything about, what's currently been going on in the world. And Sister Philly eBay says she's tired too. Well, yeah, because you drove from out of town, so I know you're tired. But I feel good in the fact that people came out and supported. People, like Sister Farnessa said, think left uplifted and encouraged and feeling like there's something we can do. Not just pointing out the problem like, yep, this is a problem. Oh, well, I'll let y'all figure it out. And then, then walk away, walk off the stage and say, good luck. Brother G always has something that you can do, something, and makes it interactive and, makes it your responsibility to uplift your people. So let me go through my phone real quick. Okay, here we are. Sister Philly eBay, this is for you. You were asking for the affirmation, and the affirmation goes as follows. And I wish I had downloaded this from my phone and put it up on the screen, but I will. I didn't really think about it, to be honest. But it says, I am an African. We will survive the 21st century no matter what. It's whatever. And, if you're from the DC area, DMV area, you understand that it's whatever is like the street equivalent of by any means necessary. So that is the affirmation that Brother Genie came up with yesterday. And it's very simple. It's very simple. And he pointed out something interesting. He was saying, for those that don't identify as African, you identify as whatever, Moor or Hebrew or, whatever the case may be. If you're black, because that's the only people we care about, but you don't identify as African, then you can just eliminate the first line, or I guess add your identifier, if you will, and then continue on with the other aspects of the affirmation, which deal with the fact that we will survive the 21st century no matter what the cost. And that's the important part, and that's the attitude that black people need to have. Like, not this begging attitude that we've been tricked into, not this pleading with enemies attitude that we've been tricked into. Is an attitude of, we're going to survive whether, you want to aid in that or not. If you don't want to aid in that, and you got a problem, you want some smoke, we have that as well. Also, some other highlights that I recorded. We have a new name for what used to be America, Western Israel. And if you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say about that, And a new name for what was previously known as 19, that is known as the Fauci, and the shot, is now known as the Gateway or the assassination. So we don't want to be assassinated. We don't want any parts of the gateway to the gateway to hell, if you will. We'll pass on all of that. And if you saw why. And Sister Vanessa's laughing about the Fauci. Yeah, because those who saw my lecture earlier this year, Africans versus Everybody, you know that Gates hired Fauci. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you start connecting these things, and you see that he literally, because I think about him, well, not anymore, but when you first saw him, you think about him as working for the United States government, right? They first rolled this guy out, like he's been CDC or whatever. What's weird is I don't even remember his actual government title or job or whatever. But then when I researched and found out that he's been working for Bill Gates and part of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's work on vaccines since, well, I can't remember the year now, but I believe it's like 2011 or something like that. I had to pull it up again. When I saw that, I was like, wait. I just laugh because the media doesn't say this stuff, but yet you can find it, and it's just sitting right there. And knowing, of course, Mr. Gates' fascination with lowering the population, and I mean, you start connecting the dots, and it's like, oh my goodness, I mean, and I guess people don't know. And Brother Jenny talked about that, just coming to our people with a spirit of love, because people don't know. Because one thing's for sure, if you've been paying attention, like once I started paying attention, the major media is like, they're just giving the standard lines. There's no, they're not allowing any, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not allowing any narratives other than the narratives that they create. And they're just shutting down all information. Like literally, when you turn on the news, they talk about this thing every day, and now they talk about, you must get the shot, and you're not getting it for you, you're getting it for your neighbors. Somebody pointed out, what's his name? The brother from New York, from Brooklyn, makes the movies. Spike Lee pointed out Spike Lee's commercial, and act like, they got him walking through, and he might have been on a film set for all I know, but walking through something that looks like old school Brooklyn, and talk about neighbors and this and this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's a multimillionaire now. I doubt very seriously that, he lives in that same brownstone or bought a brownstone on his old block. And if he did, his neighbors ain't the same people that were there in the, I guess, 70s when he grew up or whenever he grew up. So, it's so, it's so disingenuous. It's so phony, the belief that you have to trust, trust people who haven't shown at any time in history, being completely honest, that they have our interests at heart. Because let's be realistic, right? Now that now that the Democrats are in office, and they've been dishing out money, the government in general has been dishing out money for years. If they really cared, we already know what I'm about to say. Instead of studying reparations, they just be like rolling out the cash. You know what I mean? And leaving us alone, or making some type of mandate that only black officers can be in the black community, or something like that. That would show that they care. But instead, hey, make sure you get this shot, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, my friend. I'll pass. Thank you, but no, thank you. And it's funny. I had heard DMC. I think I heard an interview with him, but I had not seen that clip of DMC rapping, trying to wrap us right into the shot. I mean, this guy hasn't been relevant on the hip hop scene as far as mainstream hip hop since, man, probably since I was maybe since I was in high school. I mean, when when's the last time Run DMC had hits? You know, I was I even in high school when they had last time they had hits. I think the last thing I remember was Down with the Kings, and that was 100 years ago. So they rolled this guy out. I'm like, they must have rolled him out for my generation, because I know no one under 30 has any clue who he is, I would think. But I mean, it's amazing how one thing this last, I guess, year and a half, 2 years or whatever, we've seen how other people really think about black people. They have rolled out every celebrity and just the demeaning way that they talk to us. The whole "get your booty to the polls" thing, if y'all remember that, with strippers. With right? I'm not imagining that happened, right? They had strippers on the pole talking about getting your booty to the polls. Have I missed that? I mean, was I imagining things, or did that really happen? Because that was so. When I think about it, that's so surreal to think about now, that they're like, man, how can we get black men to go to the polls? Oh, you know what? They love strippers. Let's hire some strippers and have them try to get them to go vote. I mean, that's the type of insanity. That's the type of bizarro world we live in now. That's what they think. And Sister Farnessa says they know how to appeal to black folks' childishness by coming to us with rap, dancing, and food to get us to do what they want. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen all types of free everything, free French fries, free donuts, free Krispy Kreme donuts, free. Did I see free? Now y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't remember where. I could have sworn I saw free weed. I might have been imagining things. I could have sworn they said free weed somewhere in this country. I guess where it's legal. And You Got Ripped Off says, I work with Vax, Urugus. Them jokers have huge profuse knots all over their foreheads. They don't know where they came from, though. Wow, really? People out here growing an extra head and don't know what's going on. Let's see. Greetings to Black Worlds. Greetings, brother. I believe that's a brother. But let me tell you something. It's so interesting. One thing I'm proud of, and I don't even think it's the work we're doing. I have talked to more and more brothers and sisters who not quote unquote conscious or whatever, and I just talked to them about this thing, and they were like, "Nah, I'm good." In fact, I talked to a brother from the continent, which is weird. He's like a huge Christian, like big church guy. He might even be a pastor. I don't know. But I was talking to him about it, and he was like, I said, so, and I can't remember what sparked the conversation, but I was like, yeah, man, they really pushing this vaccine now, man. How you feel? And he's like, oh no, I'm not messing with that. I was like, oh no, you're not gonna get it. Oh no, brother, no, I'm not. And I just started laughing, and then he asked me, and I was like, oh nah, I think I'm good. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. It's gonna be a long wait. It's gonna be a long wait. And Sister Farnessa says, yes, they have offered free weed and a chance to win the lottery to get to Fauci. Yeah, I saw the chance to win the lottery. I can't remember what state that was in. Was that in Ohio? And I'm like, what is the lottery? Can't be more than $2, right? $5? Y'all let me know. I have no idea. I don't even think I've ever been to Ohio, but whatever the case, wherever it is, can't be more than $5. And it's not like you're guaranteed to win anything. So they're giving you $5 at most, $1 to $5, whatever their state lottery costs, for you to risk your life. I mean, well, like when you just think about that, like the odds of you the odds of something going wrong taking that thing, and the odds of are much higher than the odds of you winning the lottery. And then let's say you win the lottery, and then you drop dead from that thing. Then what? They get the money back anyway. And, unless you have time to will it to your children. So, I mean, it just goes to show, if this was such a wonderful thing and was not something that was potentially dangerous, then let's be realistic. You wouldn't have to give away free stuff. You wouldn't have to do all this advertisement. You know what I'm saying? If it was something that could change your save your life, and people were sure it would save your life, you don't have to bribe people. You don't have to threaten people. You don't have to cajole people. You don't have to make people feel bad for not getting it. Like, oh, you don't got to get it for you. Get it for everybody else. All this type of stuff. And then, if I'm not mistaken, did not Joe Biden not say people that are vaccinated don't have to wear the mask, but if you're vaccinated, you have to wear the mask and all this wild stuff? And I'm like, they are slowly making a two-tiered system within the society, and really threatening to remove the rights of those who simply choose to depend on their immune system. And of course, there was the part in the presentation with Bill Gates and his plan to basically block out the sun, which is just insane. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just the idea of, and I don't know how many people seen The Matrix, right? Because there's a part in The Matrix. Well, that's a major theme in The Matrix. Not a part, it's a major theme in The Matrix. In the original Matrix movie, where actually, no, it wasn't the machines. Actually, it was the people. The people blotted out the sun because the machines were powered by solar power. And that was a major part of that movie. And now here comes Bill Gates talking about global warming and talking about blocking out the sun. And that was a part of the presentation that Brother Genie showed. And of course, it's been shown that vitamin D will help to fend off, which you can get freely from the sun by just standing outside, will help fend off, these diseases that are going around, which we've all been subject to, or we've known someone that has had it or something like that. And Brother You Got Ripped Off says, if you haven't read Walima Barudi's Sex Imperative, he explains the free sugar they gave us. Brother, I need to go back and finish that. I never finished Sex Imperative. And that's really the only Walima Barudi book I ever started that I never finished, except for I never read all the way through in one sitting the homosexuality and the feminization of African males, because it is about 440 something pages, or maybe longer than that. So those are the only two. I think I've read it in pieces and finished it, but I never sat down and read it totally. But I haven't finished Sex Imperative, so I might have to dig that out the closet and break into that, because everything Bob Baruti, everything he puts out is valuable information, and it's information that you can't get anywhere else. And speaking of Bob Baruti, and give me a second to look this up, I believe that he's having the complementarity conference is coming up in June. So if anybody knows, let me see. Let me find it. I know it was coming up in June. I just have to find the exact date, which of course is, things are never readily available when you're looking for, but let's see. thought I saw another message from someone. Oh, Sis Vanessa says Gateway needs to be put in a hole in Gitmo for life. That's a start. You know, that is a start. That, man, don't get me started. These people who are, for lack of a better word, we'll call them the global elites. The plans that they have, the things that they're doing, the plans that they're executing are really crimes against humanity. And Brother Jenny pointed this out, and a lot of people, I'm sure, will just be like, hey, I don't know how y'all feel about this part, but this is the one time where the hats have effectively put everyone in the same bag and has decided to take the bat to the bag of everyone. So this is a rare time where it's a situation where black people and everyone else are affected by this thing the same way. Now, as far as how the shot itself is affecting people, I've seen Euros have weird symptoms and stuff, and just all types of wild stuff. And I've seen our people, and we talked about this before in another show, but Brother Jenny, he showed famous or noted and known black people who had taken a shot and then not lived very long after that. You know, Hank Aaron, you know, he took the shot publicly and encouraged people to take the shot, and then he's no longer with us. And I'm looking at the list of people that he included, because I didn't record everybody, but of course that sister Midwin Charles, she said she took the shot at a FEMA center, which, you know, just hearing the word shot in FEMA center, I don't know if you can get me to, you can drag me kicking and screaming for that one. I don't know why she thought that was a good idea. And then there was a former Detroit TV anchor, Karen Hudson Samuels, who took the shot, and then one day after she passed, which is, you know, scary, because that's, you know, again, we're not saying that the shot caused the person's death. We're saying that the person took the shot and then they were deceased in the next day. And Sister Shaniqua says the older sister came to her job and she had taken the shot and then she had a stroke. So again, I mean, we're not saying, you know, that she had the stroke from the shot. We're saying that it's just a crazy coincidence that she took the shot and then in a short span of time later she had a stroke, which of course is very life-threatening and can be very debilitating as well. And I'm trying to think, of course, and Marvelous Marvin Hagler, it was reported by an old opponent that he had taken the shot, and then of course he was no longer here on the planet. So I'm just saying that you know, there's enough evidence here that you at least want to research and see, because let's be honest, this is a life-changing decision for all of us, because this is something that affects everyone. You know, if you're on the planet here in this day and time, you've been affected by the things that have gone on. There was Brother Jenny had a clip where some Europeans were somewhere in the middle of Uganda, like I'm talking about, like in the middle of nowhere, Uganda. You know, like most people who don't know Africa think of Uganda as the middle of nowhere to start with. And in the middle of that nowhere that y'all think that is, in the middle of nowhere, within the middle of nowhere, there were Europeans that they said they had to take boats and all types of stuff to get this isolated place to give people vaccines. Now, as I was sitting there and I was talking to a sister in our organization, I'm like, this doesn't actually make any sense. If these people are so isolated that you actually have to like physically work to get to them, what's the purpose of vaccinating them when they don't, let's say, for example, because it actually wouldn't make sense, but they're so isolated, the chances of them getting anything that's the outside world is getting are slim. But let's say that they did. The chances of them spreading it are slim because they're so isolated. So to jump through all these hoops to try to vaccinate these people for their health in a part of the world where it's shown that the numbers and the deaths from this thing are way smaller. You know what I'm saying? Way smaller than they are in the Western world. And in fact, they know it because they've been trying. Do y'all remember when this thing kicked off, right? And after about maybe like when it was tearing up Italy and tearing Europe up, right? People, because they have an older population, so they were having tremendous deaths in Italy. And then they came out with the articles and they were like trying to figure out why the death rate was so low and the infection rate was so low in Africa. And of course, simple logic will say that this is a type of respiratory infection that normally thrives in the West and in tropical regions normally doesn't, right? You don't hear about people running around the desert catching the flu a lot, or people and you don't hear about people in Ghana catching the cold a lot, or things like that, right? Just because of the way that these things spread and how the weather, the temperature affects those things and things like that, right? And yet there's a big idea like, oh my God, can't figure out why nothing's happening. So a year ago, you can't figure out why it's not affecting Africans. This year, you got to go to the deep heart of Africa to save people from something that you said wasn't affecting them a year ago. Take all the time you need. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But yet there they were. Sister Vanessa says, have you seen the videos of those that took the Fauci where they put magnets on their arm that received the Fauci in versus the arm that didn't? I have seen those clips. Someone put them on YouTube, and yeah, that's very weird. And because I saw a clip where it was two Yurugu, and the one Yurugu was like, yeah, they put I think I can't remember what he said, but nanotechnology or whatever he said, right? And the person was like, man, what are you talking about? They didn't do that. He's like, no, they did. Watch. And then he puts a magnet on a woman's arm, and the magnet sticks. It just sticks to her arm like he put a magnet on your refrigerator. And there wasn't nothing else to say, And I'm just sitting there looking at it, and I'm just like, there's nothing to argue with there. Magnets don't stick to arms normally. That's like, you broke a bone and you have a plate in your arm. Maybe, I guess. Y'all tell me. But in general, magnets don't stick to human arms, they just don't. And Brother You Got Ripped Off says, hence they took out Magufuli and his vice president is messing up his achievements. Yeah, brother, yeah. And Brother Jenny talked about that. And for those who are not familiar or with that, Baba Magufuli of Tanzania, Pan-Africanist leader, president of the country, who was also a scientist. And so he took samples and sent it to a lab and got positive results for things that, positive results from things that it's not possible to get this virus, if you will. You know, and including, I believe, when he took some fruits, like samples of fruits and sent in tissue from fruits, and they sent it back like, whoa, wow, that test is positive, and he's like, okay, alrighty, I just wanted to see what was going on, and thank you for letting me know what's going on. So Baba Magafuli, if you ever read Confessions of an Economic Hitman, you'll understand that the leadership problem in Africa is not organic, and it's not accidental when African leaders die of plane crashes. African leaders die of heart attacks. Of course, the number of assassinations that they have. African leaders have, mysterious deaths in their sleep without ever being sick. And so we can chalk this thing up to that. So if you've never read that book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, it's very much worth rereading for me if you read it a long time ago in this day and time, because it's still relevant as we see. And the brother says John Perkins talks about that. Right. That's the author of Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And I think he has a sequel to the book as well. And Sister Vanessa says, even when a person goes in for surgery, they will ask you if you have any metal in your body. She says, yet they are chipping people with the Fauci. Yeah. And I didn't get to see the whole clip, but there was a clip of that Brother Genie put up with Urugu talking about all the ramifications of possible ramifications of this type for technology in use. And I heard something similar from someone else in this. This is what's interesting to me. No matter what time you live in, right, especially the last, I'll say 500 years, but even longer, really. But no matter what time you live in as a black person interacting with Urugu, there's always something that Urugu will do or come up with that you'll think is even insane by their standards, or it's inconceivable, or what I'm saying, it's really just hard to believe, because you're like, who would do that? That's insane. Like, to me, the Bill Gates, hey, let's try to block out the sun thing is like, what are you talking about? And like, are you crazy? like that's my first response to somebody talking about block out the sun. Block out the sun. Think about this. The sun has been here for billions of years, right? The sun has been warming the earth for billions of years, right? We have natural seasons. We have the rotation of the earth on its axis. We have the rotation of the earth around the sun. We have clouds. We have weather. We have all this stuff. And all this stuff has been working perfectly fine for not hundreds of years, not thousands of years, not even millions of years, right? But for billions of years, this thing has been working perfectly, doing what it's supposed to do, through all types of stuff. Who knows what the stuff that's happened in the last billion years? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what types of sunstorms and radiation storms and asteroids and comets and all the stuff that happens in space, right? All the celestial stuff that happens. All of that, the earth has been perfectly fine. Animals have been perfectly fine. People have been perfectly fine for the millions and millions of years that black people have been here. We've all been perfectly fine, right? People, give birth, you live your life, return back to whence you came. The children that you have, they go through the cycle. Civilization rises and falls. All this stuff, right? With the same sun, and everybody's been happy. And everybody has been healthy, and everybody has lived and built civilization and do what people do for all this time. And birds and trees and plants and insects and animals, and everybody's been doing their thing. And then suddenly this guy, right, wants to come up with a plan to block out the sun, which gives life to everything and everybody on the planet. Just stop for a moment and think about how insane that really is. That we have a nut, because you got to be crazy, running around with a plan to block out the life-giving, the source of life on planet Earth. Just take all the time you need. I mean, it's just completely insane to me. And even though I knew about his idea, when you start realizing that other people are taking that seriously, you're like, wait. Because you just assume, I just kind of assume anyway, obviously I'm wrong, that we all agree that we all need the sun. And we all agree that we like the sun. We, it is beneficial. And anybody who thinks opposite is completely insane. But apparently I'm wrong. We don't all agree. Apparently there was a meeting of people who didn't agree, and black people weren't invited. And Bill Gates had it, and that's the idea he came up with. Now you see the lecture, you see why, and I know why. But the fact that people aren't haven't gone to his house to have a talk with him, shall we say, just about this idea in and of itself, just shows how lethargic, not just black people, but people worldwide are. Or maybe how uninformed, maybe people haven't heard it. Or possibly another thing that happens is sometimes you hear something that's so crazy and you just assume that no one is going to agree to it, and then you assume that it'll just be stopped, that it'll never have momentum. And so then no one actually tries to stop it because you think it's too crazy, and so there's no need for people to try to stop it. You got ripped off says now factor in melanin people thrive in the sun, and Urugu wants to block it. Yeah, I mean, again, that goes without saying. And like I said, I don't know if I guess a lot of black people don't know. I don't know if he's like this type of stuff makes it on the TV or not. I actually have no clue. But I don't think that's like that type of information is being censored on the internet. Y'all let me know. I could be wrong, but cause I've heard this for years, and I'm just like, man, this dude's crazy. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. And I immediately start thinking about the movie The Matrix when I heard it. And of course, as you all know, as I said before, the most arable land on Earth is on the continent of Africa. So if you start doing, manipulating, as Kay said, weather, things like that, Africa is going to be more affected than anywhere else, because that's the one place that has the capacity to feed itself and clothe itself and doesn't need to import anything from anyone, anywhere. So, that's just another thing that black people are going to have to resist. And I don't remember, because I didn't get to see the whole clip, so I don't remember how far along those plans are. But this is a billionaire who hangs with billionaires. So one thing we know for a fact: funding will not be an issue with him getting that plan off. And y'all tell me, I don't know if him and Elon Musk are, if they are friends or they hang out, because I know, if I'm not mistaken, Elon Musk has his own rockets. So you give a guy with this idea, and then his friend makes rockets, and you know, we can see what the outcome for that is. For those who saw the lecture, that any other parts of it that stuck out to you all, let me know. Because that was pretty much everything that stuck out to me that I remember. That and of course, now I forgot this part. I let's see, Malcolm X, Brother Jenny featured Brother Malcolm prominently in this presentation, and Malcolm X's birthday is coming up on Wednesday, so I will not be and I don't even know if they're having it, but I'm assuming that they're having it live, but I will not be able to make it up to New York for Malcolm X Day this year, but I am going to do a Malcolm X Day live stream. I don't know the time yet, so it may be in the middle of the day. So if it's in the middle of the day, y'all will get the notifications and you can watch it then or you can watch it after. But we are going to do a live stream in honor of Malcolm X. And Brother Jenny did point out that Mark Lamont Hill has been desecrating the name of Malcolm X and attempting to sodomize the ancestor in the grave with some type of event that he has every year, talking about some intersectionality of Malcolm X or something like that. So I'm gonna look into that some more, and I'll talk about that when I do the Malcolm X live stream. But yeah, I'm gonna do a special, probably daytime Malcolm X live stream on his birthday, since I will not be able to attend in New York live. Is Brother Patrick is still in here? Are they having the event live? Do you know anything? I'm trying to think, is anybody else on here that might know? If anybody knows if they're having that live, let me know. Oh, well, I forgot. Wonderful producer. She's from up there. Wonderful producer. Have you heard anything? Let me know. Sister Farnessa says it's time for Mark Lamont Hill to atone for his disrespect of the ancestors. Yeah, that might be a situation where some gentlemen have to speak to him on the side. That's, you understand what I'm saying. You got ripped off says, here's a revelation I had last night. We call on our ancestors when we say their names, but notice how many Urugu products. Hold up, say that again. Urugu products is a name. They're siphoning our spiritual energy every time we buy or say the names. You got ripped off. Clarify that for me, because I either misread that or I'm not quite giving the understanding. And Brother Patrick said they probably will. Okay, brother. Yeah, so I didn't know what the situation was, so I didn't make plans to come to New York. I normally go there every year for Malcolm X Day, and then what we do is we go and it's just fun. Oh yeah, I know. What we normally do is when we go for the Malcolm X ceremony, we go to visit Dr. Khaled, who is also buried in the same cemetery. And Brother Patrick said New York is starting to open up. Okay. Dr. Khaled Abdul Muhammad is buried in the same cemetery. Like almost on the opposite side of the cemetery. I guess it's a quarter. If you think of the cemetery as a circle, it's probably like 25% away from where Brother Malcolm is buried. And if I'm not, I don't know of that anyone that has a ceremony there for Dr. Khaled's birthday. I could be wrong, but at least the way I've gone to the place, the way that it is, where it is and the way that we go, I can just imagine that being a difficult place to get to in the wintertime if the weather's bad. But if you've never been to New York for Malcolm X Day, it's definitely something to experience. Very powerful ceremony. I've been about 4 or 5 times, like 4 or 5 times in the last 8 years or so, something like that. And so, as that normally it's an experience I look forward to. Going up there, I know a handful of people in the city. I don't see my brother Desaline here. I didn't tag him either, but yeah. Normally, see people like that brother and others, and just have a good time, visit the extended family. Plus, the thing about it is, you go to Malcolm X Day because so many people go, you never know who you're gonna run into. Like it's been times I've run into people from DC up there that I haven't seen. I'm like, man, what you doing up here? I don't even see you back home. So it's a very powerful event. So we are gonna live stream on Wednesday. This Wednesday. Yeah, I think Wednesday afternoon, and I'll let y'all know. And then if you have not subscribed and you haven't liked this stream, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And also make sure you you go over to OTW Tube and follow me there. And our wonderful producer Cindy Ashby has put in the link for that. Is www.otwtube.com/user/DC Radical 1, the one and only. Also, a wonderful producer says you can hit me via Cash App, cash.app/$DC Radical 1 if you would like to donate to the movement. And again, you can follow me on Instagram at DC.radical1, on Twitter at DC_radical_ONE. And this is the YouTube, capital D, small c, radical 1, and the email, DC.radical_1 at protonmail.com. And all of that information is running along the bottom. And so I'm trying to think, is there any other parts of the presentation yesterday that really stuck out to me? Because, like I said, as y'all know, those who know and those who've been to a Straight Black Pride event, y'all know y'all will see me kind of in multiple places at the same time. So I don't always get to see everything. I don't always get to see the presentation unless I'm giving the presentation. But other than that, okay, you got ripped off. Okay, now I understand. He said, brother, you got ripped off. Says they siphon our energy because we're saying their names where we're buying their products. In other words, Jim Beam, Gucci, and so forth. We're no longer calling our ancestors' names. Wow, yo, that's so profound, brother. You said that because I think about BB4 and Straight Black Pride to a BB4, man. I think about back in the day when we were growing up, the 90s, early 90s, how there were a lot of black labels that popped up. Carl Kanai and I think Cross Colors was a black label. And there's some other black labels. And then rappers were coming out with their stuff, Woo Wear, and Outkast had some gear, but I can't remember what it was called. And it's very interesting that you say that because, right, we had our own stuff, and then people like Puffy and Biggie and people like that started to big up and glorify those European designers, And then New York, even before that, they had oh man, I can't even think of his name all of a sudden. I just draw a blank. But what's the brother that was designing and even designing and doing clothes up in New York? Our wonderful producer, y'all, my New Yorkers that's in the building, y'all help me out. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Dapper Dan. He was doing this stuff way back in the day. So yeah, you're right, brother. I didn't think about it like that. We had our own designers, we had our own people doing our own thing. And yeah, we run around saying their ancestors by buying their products and big up in their products, and we have. Yeah, we don't like. Yeah, I mean, we were walking around with Malcolm X. Man, I had look. Like, y'all don't laugh at me, right? Okay, y'all not gonna laugh. When I was young, I had and I think I left that thing at a girl's house. Anyway, just thinking about it. FUBU, right? Indeed, brother. For us, by us, right? Yeah, y'all kick out some more labels from back in the day. I had a kente cloth. Now, it wasn't real kente cloth, but kente cloth pattern Malcolm X jacket back when I was I think I was still in high school. But anyway, man, you couldn't tell me nothing, bro. I'm for real. That kente cloth Malcolm X jacket, man, I knew I was the man, bro. So the whole fashion aesthetic has changed, you know. Even people that and then they had the Malcolm X varsity jackets back in the day. So you couldn't. It's so funny. Knowledge was as ubiquitous now in a different way as it is in the social media age, because it was part of youth culture. So having knowledge was part of youth culture. Of course, you had people walking around with the Africa chains and medallions and, you know, all those things. Yeah, you know, if you're of a certain age, you remember. And now, as a brother said, we glorify labels and clothing and brands and whatnot of other people and say other people's names. And do we, like, are there, as far as bigger name, are there any kind of big name clothing brand, black clothing brands? I know there are people whose stuff I buy that I see on Instagram that are black owned that make conscious clothes. There's people that I buy. It's kind of too many to name. But brother Asar says Oswald Boateng and Willie Ware. Okay, I haven't heard of now I've never heard of Willie Ware. Okay, so thank you, brother, for enlightening me with that. But yeah, it's different. Like, the young people were the ones that carried the black brands and made them popular back in the day, and I don't see the same thing. But again, I'm not part of the youth, so as my mother says, wouldn't exactly be the target audience for that. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And brother says Sean John. Yeah, wasn't even gonna mention Sean John. And then I forgot they were Rockaware. They had their stuff too. And didn't even though that was a little later, but 50 Cent, he had his shoes and stuff. I can't even remember what that stuff was called. And our wonderful producer says Carl Kanai after I said Carl Kanai already. That's all right, wonderful producer. That shows that you're listening, just not intently. That's all. But before I get off here, anything else? Any other what's the word I'm looking for? Anything else y'all got out of the lecture or the event that y'all wanted to talk about or highlight or made you think? I'm sitting here going through just the stuff that I recorded, seeing if there was anything that I missed. You know. Oh no! Well, real quick, let me go over this small hat quote. Paul R. Ehrlich. Then he says by 1985, enough millions will have died to reduce the Earth's population to some acceptable level, like 1.5 billion. And that was Paul Ehrlich. Now, this is like approximately 7.5 billion, 8 billion people on the planet now. And he's talking about reducing it to an acceptable population level of 1.5 billion. That means they're trying to find a way to get rid of 6 billion people. That's the small hats. That's the plans they have for us. So while we making plans for next Sunday dinner, they're talking. Our wonderful producer says, "I'm listening. Thank you." Since Vanessa, have we decided on a date for this year's convention? We have. Yeah, brother. Sorry, that quote was from 1985. Think about that. We have. I thought that I said it on a previous show. Let me look and see, because I don't want to just say it off the top of my head and be wrong. Because you're making plans to travel, if I'm not mistaken. So let me. Why is this thing doing that? My phone is kind of doing its own thing right now. So, yeah, the convention will be the 21st and the 22nd of August. So, for those that are wondering when the convention will be, August 21st, August 22nd. So, for those that plan on traveling and want to make plans, that is the weekend that we'll be doing the 7th annual Straight Black Pride Convention. And Unique One Express says Maurice Malone. Okay, I'm not familiar with that brand at all. And you got ripped off, say Juneteenth plans. I don't normally do Juneteenth, so I don't have any plans. But yeah, I don't have any plans. And I guess I'll let you all know within the next. Well, I'll tell you all later. I keep that to myself. Never mind. But I don't have any Juneteenth plans. So because Straight Black Love Day, I guess, is so close to when I think Juneteenth is. That's kind of like our holy day that we made and we celebrate. So anything else that's near that just kind of gets swept up in that. Which Father's Day seems our Straight Black Love Day seems to be close to Father's Day every year. And for those that still have their father in their life, man, cherish that, because when people are gone, they're gone, and they're no longer here. And brother says May 25th, African Liberation Day. Indeed. I was actually before Brother Genie decided to do this, I actually had planned to do a African Liberation Day lecture, but the COVID situation made what he did more pertinent. So next year, that's a possibility. But yeah, that is it, really, brothers and sisters. That's pretty much everything I wanted to cover, unless it was something that y'all wanted to cover real quick. Like I said, this would be a short stream, because, quite frankly, I'm tired from yesterday. Like I said, it was a great event. I enjoyed it. We had a lot of people come out. I think everybody that came out and supported, everybody that supports what we do, supports the mission. Not least, because Brother Lord Vale has been asking me for a while, so I can say this. Within the next month, Brother Genie will be a guest on the show. And I'll let you all know in plenty of time for that. And we'll just do an interview, and then we'll let him just, I'll let y'all ask him some questions, and we'll let him do whatever he wants to do. I don't think he wants to do any type of presentation or thing like that. But if so, then we just let him do his thing and go from there. So that's something that y'all can look forward to. After that happens, then Lord Bell can get off my back, because he's been asking me. He's like, bruh, when are you going to bring Brother Genie on? So worked on that, and I was actually going to, being candid, I was going to bring him on today, but I was like, I didn't not warning people, but I didn't let y'all know in advance, and so more people could be here. So I was like, nah, let's give the people some time so they can prepare, and people can tune in and see it live, and be able to interact with him and ask questions and things like that. And brother, you got ripped off, says you deserve your rest, brother. I'm sure SBPM had you working hard yesterday. Absolutely. I mean, it wasn't as hard as it could be. We had a lot of people come out and assist, so I didn't have to do as much work yesterday. But I do have a tendency at our events, if you came, like for example, those who followed me for a long time, you've come to our big events. I've have a tendency to be around and go to different spots and make sure different things are okay and kind of oversee things. So you end up being on your feet more than you realize, especially for those events. And this event was, with the breaks and stuff, is about 4 hours. So, I probably was on my feet for easily 2 of those. Easily. Philly eBay says she has a question. I don't know why she didn't ask the question. This is question asking time, because I'm going to let this go for the next 8 minutes approximately before we get off. So, according to our wonderful producer, there's a 13-second delay. I don't know how she timed the delay, but so I will wait 15 seconds for you to ask your question, Philly eBay, because I didn't even know you were still here. And Brother SK said Magafuli. We covered Baba Magafuli before. I just didn't make a video. I guess I should have made a video for the channel. Just talking about that. I saw other people make some. Well, you know what? Maybe I still make a video. Can posts be made on OTWTube? OTWTube is a social media platform where you can post photos, videos, and write blogs. So it is kind of like a YouTube. If you've been paying attention to YouTube, you notice how YouTube is trying to expand and kind of add like elements from Facebook and Instagram. Well, OTW2 already beat them to the punch and has all those things built in. And there's no censorship, and it's free. So yes, you should sign up to OTW2, support our wonderful producer Cindy Ashby. The more people, the better. The more posts, the better. And it's free. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time to make an account and to go over there. I have an account there. You can follow me there. Our wonderful producer has put up my name, but it's DC Radical 1. So all of whatever you can do on other social media, you can do there, and more. And our wonderful producer says YouTube meets MySpace. A wonderful producer going way back. MySpace, man. That's way back. And Brother SK says the homophiles are organizing in Ghana. Yeah, we covered that in a previous show. They're being funded by the hats. In fact, whenever you see homophiles organizing in a black area, the hat money is funding that. We covered that in the show about maybe a month ago for those that did not see that. So I guess that is all of the questions. I'm going to give everyone about 20 seconds because I was told there's a 13-second delay by a wonderful producer. And I will get off of here and relax because there's more race work to be done as long as we are alive. Brother, you got ripped off, said King D. Seals. Yeah, yesterday, the 15th was King D. Seals' birthday. And Brother Genie mentioned King D. Seals. Those who aren't familiar, King D. Seals was one of the original Mike Brown movement organizers. And that movement was taken over by so-called Black Lives Matter. We know as gay and lesbian movement. But it did take a little time to honor that brother, who is now in the ancestral realm. He's, a wonderful, young, strong warrior for the race that, former street brother, had took that energy and put it into fighting for justice for black people. So he's a great brother and a great example for our young brothers who may be on the street to show that you can make a difference, that you can affect the lives of people and bring change to people. So yeah, rise in power to Brother King D. Seals. Fantastic brother. And he's missed, We could definitely use warriors like that on front lines now a day. And also, brother, you got ripped off reminded me. Yep, I was getting ready to say that Unique One Express. Don't forget to always shout out the name of Brother Michael Xavier Johnson and Cosmo September Ra, because those brothers, they gave their lives so that we didn't have to. And they were able to fight terrorism, that terrorism that's going around that happens to masquerade in blue uniforms and blow away black people for no reason. Brother Mike Xavier Johnson, he sought out and neutralized terrorists. That's been a few years ago now. I can't even remember the exact date. Anybody remember the exact date? Post that, because we need to start, every time that date rolls around, we need to thank that brother officially. Thank him for neutralizing terrorists, as well as our brother Cosmo September Ra. Both military trained brothers who took their training and skills that they got from the United States government and used it in the service of black people here in the hills of North America. So with that, brothers and sisters, again, I thank you all. Sis Vanessa says was in 2015. Says I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up when I get off here. I'm gonna look it up and make sure that I make a post for it. And Brother Patrick said, of course, Mark Essex. Yes, Mark Essex. And he said Ismail Brinsley. I'm not familiar with Ismail Brinsley. DM me that, brother, any information, because I am not sure. And Brother Kevin says, I think it was around July or August of 2016. Well, if it was during August, that would be appropriate. That would be appropriate. But I'm sure we will bring up those brothers at the convention. Have something, just an acknowledgement of their sacrifice for our lives. They really showed people that our lives mattered. And it spoke a language, as Malcolm X would say, it spoke a language that everyone can easily understand. All right, brothers and sisters, with that, again, I thank you all for your support. I thank you all for coming out to the event. I thank you all for getting the live stream. Those who purchase a live stream will receive information for the live stream to make up for any technical difficulties that took place. And brother, you got ripped off says, praise Nat Turner, glory to Garvey, and long live the spirit of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. May we be invigorated by the spirits of Cosmo September Ra, Micah Xavier Johnson, and always do it like King D. Seals. Indeed, brother. And with that, we say a BB for ODA and straight black pride.